Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Today we're distilling the noise from one of the 20th century's most haunting modern novels, José Saramago's Blindness.
It's an unforgettable read.
Absolutely. So our mission is to analyze the core of this staggering work. It's a book that really acts as a kind of shock treatment, showing us how terrifyingly fragile civilization can be. Okay, so let's unpack this. The whole novel is built on this central paradox. You have this massive, sudden loss of physical sight, but the thing that actually destroys social order is the loss of ethical vision.
Exactly. It's about people who literally can't see, but metaphorically, they stop seeing each other as human.
And that framework is why it's so much more than just another dystopian story, right?
We've been looking at sources on its themes, its structure, how it functions as this moral parable. And the common thread in all the analysis is just the sheer speed of the disintegration.
The speed, yeah.
And Saramago shows how brittle our social contract is. That veneer of society, it just peels away the second those unwritten moral rules start to break down.
So let's ground ourselves in how it all begins. It's the starting pistol of the story, and it is so abrupt.
Brutally so.
A man is just sitting in his car at a traffic light, and bam! He's hit by this mysterious epidemic. But it's not darkness.
No, which is what you'd expect.
Right. It's a white blindness, this milky, blinding brightness. And it just starts spreading like wildfire.
And the state's initial reaction is so telling because it's not helpful. It's just pure, panicked authoritarianism.
What's so fascinating there is that they don't set up hospitals or try to help?
No, nothing like that. It's immediate fear-based control. They just round up every newly blind person, doesn't matter who they are, their age, their health, and they dump them in an abandoned asylum.
It's the ultimate act of self-preservation from the sighted world, but it's completely doomed.
It is. That move, that quick decision to just seal them off, it shows the government was more afraid of panic than it was of the actual disease.
Right.
And that sets up the central metaphor of the book. The asylum isn't just a place.
It's a microcosm.
It's a laboratory for failure, exactly. Civilization doesn't collapse because they can't see the walls. It collapses because once sight and accountability are gone, they stop seeing each other as having any dignity, any rights. The moral restraint is just gone.
Instantly erased.
And that makes the asylum the engine of the book's drama. They think they've contained the problem, but really they've just created this perfect breeding ground for total degradation.
Absolutely. The law from the outside world disappears, and all that's left is pure physical need. Hunger, sanitation.
Primal instincts take over.
Which brings us right to the anatomy of that degradation inside the walls.
It descends into utter chaos so fast.
Right.
And the descriptions are just grueling.
They're meant to be.
No.
You see this rapid, brutal shift in power. Physical sight is worthless now.
Right.
But physical violence and control over resources, that becomes the new currency. So power shifts to this one group, the armed men in Ward 3, who are willing to use violence to hoard everything. And Saramago does not spare the reader at all. Food, the most basic thing, becomes this tool of absolute control. It's hoarded, it's rationed, and it's used to demand unthinkable things from people.
The exploitation is graphic. The whole collapse of sanitation is just nauseating.
You really do have to put the book down sometimes. He presents this collapse with such brutal honesty. There's no softening the horror.
And that refusal to soften it is key to his message. If you connect this to the bigger picture, the sources all say the novel is testing a philosophical idea.
Which is?
That morality isn't, innate. It's not something imposed by laws, not really. It's something that we sustain through constant conscious choice, moment by moment.
And when the fear of getting caught is removed?
That moral choice just fails.
But, if it were just nihilistic, it would only be a horror story. The real tension, I think, comes from the little forms of resistance that pop up.
Yes. Those small, almost invisible acts of connection are the counterpoint to all that darkness. Like sharing a tiny bit of food, or guiding someone who's lost, or risking your own safety to stand up to the ward leaders. These are the moments where they actively choose to see each other's humanity, even when they physically can't see a thing.
And those choices and how hard they are to make, that's reinforced by Saramago's style, isn't it? Which is so unconventional.
It really is.
When you first start reading, one of the most striking things is that nobody has a name.
No identifiers at all.
The characters are just the doctor, the doctor's wife, the girl with dark glasses.
Which, it immediately raises a big question for the reader. Why do that? Why strip away the most fundamental marker of a person, their name?
And the answer?
The analysis points to universality. He's denying us names, so the characters stop being individuals and become these representatives for all of humanity. It's a parable about us, not them.
You're not just relating to one protagonist's journey, you're sort of observing humanity under extreme pressure.
Exactly. And the lack of quotation marks is a huge part of that. His sentences are these long, flowing paragraphs where dialogue and narration and inner thoughts all just merge together.
You don't have the normal signposts.
Not at all.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. The style itself kind of forces you into an experience of blindness.
Yes. Explain that.
Well, you have to navigate who's speaking, what the context is, without any of the usual visual cues. So reading the book becomes this act of participating in their disorientation. It's not just about losing sight, it's about losing structure itself.
And that loss of structure is what makes the role of the doctor's wife so critical. She's the anomaly.
She's the one person who never loses her sight.
Right. She's the witness.
But that creates a huge tension, doesn't it? She's the moral anchor, forced to act, sometimes violently, to keep some shred of dignity alive. But doesn't relying on one-sided person complicate the message about shared responsibility?
That's the absolute crux of her dilemma. Her vision is, on one hand, a gift. She can find food, she can act decisively. But on the other hand, it's an agonizingly heavy burden.
It's a terrible burden, yeah.
She is forced to see everything. The full, unvarnished degradation, the violence, the selfishness, and she has to carry this immense weight of moral leadership just because she can see it all.
And she realizes pretty quickly that she can't stop every single cruel act, which is a powerful message. That just witnessing isn't enough. You have to act, even if it means getting your own hands dirty.
Her sight is this solitary, exhausting knowledge. She's watching compassion erode in real time. And she knows the only thing separating her from that savagery is her own will to maintain some kind of ethical standard.
So let's follow that chaos. What happens when they finally get out of the asylum, when they return to the city?
They find out the collapse was never contained. The sources really emphasize this point. What they find is a city in the exact same state of chaos they just left. The streets are filled with filth, homes are looted, social order is just gone, there's no authority, it's just scavenging.
So what does that all mean for us? It means the epidemic was just the catalyst, right? It just revealed a condition that was already there.
Exactly. Saramago is implying that our complex systems, law, sanitation, the economy, they were never that robust to begin
Actually,
with.
this was a thin layer.
A very thin, superficial layer of shared habits, masking total chaos. And once you remove the fear of being seen, of being caught, that layer just peels away instantly.
And that's the ultimate point of the novel as a moral parable.
It is. It asks humanity this really uncomfortable question. Are we inherently decent, or are we just sort of restrained by our circumstances? Are we good because we choose to be, or just because the consequences of being bad are too high?
The genius of the book is that you can't look away, just like the doctor's wife can't. So the essential takeaway, for me at least, is that physical seeing is not at all the same as moral understanding.
Not at all.
The true catastrophic blindness happens when people just stop recognizing each other as fully human.
And that's its stark warning for any society under stress. The novel insists that ethical vision, that conscious, difficult choice to maintain empathy, is the final and only real defense against ruin. When compassion goes, the systems follow, very quickly.
And if our moral structures, like Saramago implies, are only sustained by conscious choice, it leaves us with a final thought for you to consider. In this age of, constant digital surveillance and immediate public consequence, are we now better at enforcing compliance than fostering genuine, chosen compassion?
That's a great question.
Or, to put it another way, where is the most visible evidence of that genuine moral choice, the kind not dictated by law or the fear of being seen, in the systems we all rely on every day? Something to think about until next time.